All right, CU Media Day here in Boulder at the Touchdown Club, and Adam, always one of our favorite days because we get to talk to a lot of the guys and a lot of different guys we don't normally get to talk to. And but first off, we hear from Coach Prime, and he's doing well. Says his health is great, and he's going through practice well. And his expectations, he's not lowering them. I mean, he feels pretty good about this team.
Well, the offensive line is performing well, and that's got to help his mood after the last couple of years, right? It's a group that we expected to be better. How much better were they going to be was more of the question. There was a jump up last year, but it wasn't a jump up as much as they wanted. And so the question was, can they do that? And they've got this three-headed coaching monster there now with the O-line. And had a chance to talk with a bunch of those offensive linemen. Xavier Hill has been impressive during his camp here with the Buffaloes. And Coach Prime said a couple days ago there are about 8 guys on the offensive line he felt were like starter caliber. Today he said 9. Yeah. So that group is continuing to cultivate depth. And I think if you were a Colorado fan, if there was one position you wanted to hear that report after 9 practices, it was the O-line.
Yes. And Xavier Hill, he's the one offensive lineman I talked to today. He's one of the keys to that. I mean, I think he was first team all-conference last year at Memphis, said he wanted a bigger challenge this year, and I think he's got it, and it looks like he's answering the bell.
Yeah, he played both tackle and guard when he was at Memphis. It sounds like pretty specifically at guard here at Colorado. And you've had some interesting pieces move around in there. Cooper Lovelace was getting reps with the first team at center, where McGill has gotten the primary bulk of those reps leading up to that point. So it's a group that unquestionably has depth. Now, outside of Jordan Seaton, are there going to be some all-conference guys that emerge? That would take this offense to a completely different level. And again, the outside expectations are that this program's going to take a step back, but they're not looking at the offense and defensive line when these national people are making those statements, because those trenches have gotten better seemingly every transfer cycle.
Yeah, and Phil Steele in his magazine, he actually has Xavier Hill, I think it was second team, and Jordan Seaton as a third team all-conference guy. So he actually had Xavier Hill more highly regarded. So right now, that's the left side of that line, and if they look good on that left side, that's the blind side for these quarterbacks. That's gonna be pretty good. So as far as the quarterbacks, the competition's still going. Coach Prime, I mean, he put all 3 of them up here. Ryan Staub even today. It sounds like they're all doing really well. He's pleased with that group right now.
Yeah, and I continue to see how they're managing this and think that we're going to see both quarterbacks on August 29th. Nothing that we've heard all preseason or even early during camp has kind of gone against that, right? So it's going to be interesting. Caden Salter is a guy that's just going to shine more in games, and that's something that Coach Prime mentioned, because quarterbacks don't get hidden practice. So you get an arm to your back and you're down. Well, in the game, Caden Salter is going to break that for a 15, 20-yard gain. And so that's going to be such a valuable commodity for them. And Julian Lewis has done everything you could expect from him to this point. He's made some fantastic throws, and I think you want to kind of get that development started here this year.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens, how they handle him, because they clearly like him. He's clearly very talented. Will they try to be calculated and trying to get him to just play the 4 games, or will they use him a lot? So that's going to be very interesting to see how they use that quarterback spot. But it's clearly a very talented room. I mean, and Coach Prime mentioned, don't forget Staub. I mean, this is a guy that has been here 2 years. He knows the offense. So that'll be interesting. As far as Salter goes, I talked to Preston Hodge, and I keep forgetting that Hodge and Salter were teammates at Liberty. And I said, how much did you have to do with Salter being here? He goes, I was the kind of the point guy. So okay. Hodge had a lot to do with Caden Salter being here. And I said, well, what kind of quarterback is our Colorado fans getting? He said, you're getting a dog. He's very impressed with them. Obviously, they were good friends. But that Liberty connection at Colorado, both those guys, sort of my transition is that Coach Prime mentioned Preston Hodge as being a leader in that secondary. So you got a couple Liberty guys that are kind of leading this team right now.
Yeah. I mean, those were probably the best 2 teams on that undefeated Liberty team, right?
Yeah. Best 2 players, yeah.
Preston Hodge was, at least by Pro Football Focus, their best defender that year, and Caden Salter was insane that year, especially as a dual threat quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, they've enjoyed a lot of success before. It's a connection that maybe you go back to again in the future. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I know you and I both talked to a ton of people, so we're not going to get to everybody we talked to, but I want to ask you, give me one or two interviews you did today that really stood out to you, some guys that impressed you.
Quincy Wiggins, it's a good story. This is, again, we've talked about it in this day and age. Guys don't have patience. They don't stick around. But Coach Prime just kept reassuring Quincy that you're going to play here. Yeah. I believe in you. And it's that belief that's gotten him to this point. And he's playing with a lot of aggression out there in the practice fields where I think the light has really turned on for him. Now, it's a talented room, so he's not going to be out there as a three-down edge guy, but he's somebody that's going to be a factor on this defense. And, again, I just think it's a really cool story on this team.
Yeah, I talked to him as well, and I said, it's clear from watching Well out there that you're playing with passion, and he kind of laughed. And but he also told me that last year was frustrating for him, but he would hear Coach Prime mention his name and say, if he ever hits, it's going to be really good. And he said that fueled him a little bit, and he knew he didn't put it all together last year, and that drove him this year. I'm excited for him. He's one of those guys I think is nobody knows about him yet. I think he's a breakout star for this year. Yeah.
And I hadn't talked to either Tawfiq Bayard or Tion Parks before, and so it was good to talk to both those guys. Tion Parks is kind of a sleeper in that cornerbacks group. I know R.J. Johnson had a really good spring, and he's made some plays out there early during camp. But there's a couple guys, and Tyrekus Davis is another one that's been making plays out there. That I think that cornerback competition is going to be really interesting here the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I agree with you. Tawfiq, I talked to him. He was a great interview. Another one that a guy that we all know, but Omarion Miller. I chatted with him, and just about he's obviously been biding his time. He's been behind some veterans. He's dealt with some injuries, things like that. And I asked him, I said, did you ever think about not being here? And he goes, yeah, I did, because it was sort of frustrating at times for him. But he goes, I knew that if I just kind of bided my time, that my opportunity would come, and he's excited to be here.
Yeah. Zach Atkins was a great interview. I don't know if you got a chance to talk to him. Great story. This is somebody that was a 190-pound receiver, not recruited by FBS schools, coming in out of high school, and he's really transformed his body, and he's starting to make plays. He said, he admitted to me that the learning curve was pretty steep coming from a lower level, but he said it's really starting to click for him right now. Yeah,
and Joseph Williams is another one I talked to that was a quarterback in high school. I didn't realize that. I didn't remember that from his bio, but he was a quarterback that was not getting any offers and had some advice that, you might want to try receiver if you want some offers, and tried it. And he said he misses quarterback, but I said, how much you like him receiver? He goes, I love it. He loves catching home run balls, things like that. And so he's one of those guys that I think people are going to be nationally, people might surprise at how big of a deal he is on this offense.
Yeah, no question. I mean, there's so many great stories. Like you said, this is one of our favorite days. I think I did over a dozen interviews, and we'll probably share more of that stuff as we're going through transcribing it. It's kind of hectic because you're trying to get in as many interviews as you can.
I don't even know everybody I talked to or what I talked to him about, but Amari McNeil was another one real quick that he's just one that I think keeps growing. We've said it, but every year he keeps getting better. He's excited for this year. He's like, I know I got to put it together. That's what I think Sapp or somebody was saying that this week, that he's got to have consistency, and he knows that. But he said those stats will come, and he feels he can be an all-conference type of guy, and if he continues that progression, I think he will be.
He confirmed to me that the good cop, bad cop thing is real. Warren Sapp is being honest there.
But much to Coach Pecco's dismay, he's not the bad cop, right?
But I mean, it's pretty incredible the amount of NFL experience between those two guys. Guys like Amari McNeil that are trying to get to that next level. I mean, it's definitely a great situation for him, I think, going into the season, and a guy that if you named a list of 10 guys that are going to make that jump up, he would be on that list.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that this day confirms to me every year is that there's a lot of really awesome young men and cool personalities on this team. I'm always thankful for a day like this. We get to know those guys a little bit, and I had fun today.
Definitely. This is a great event, and we got a lot of content to get out there now.
Now it's the bad part. We got to go transcribe every one of these quotes and get out of here, so we better get out of here. We'll be back next week for more practice analysis.